Tov. Today's daf is daf Kuf Vav, and we're up to Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, which is about 5 lines down from the top. And the Gemara is discussing the concept called Yayin Pogum. If you've already tasted from the cup and you don't use it, it's completely disqualified for a koshel bracha. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi kopir achatzba pegima. Rashbam interprets chatzba as a kad, which is a jar, medium-sized jar. It's not a cup, it's not a barrel. But if you drank from this jug, then the yayin is not to be used for a koshel bracha. Ravidi Bar Shish, on the other hand, was very mekil, kapir akasa de pegima. He was only makbid if somebody drank directly from a cup, not from a jug. And the most machmir shita is that of Mar Baravashi, kopet afilu achavita begimta. Even a chavis, he has a barrel of wine, and somebody drank from the barrel directly, it's pogum, and it's disqualified for a koshel bracha. A number of points that I want to raise here in the Rashbam. The Rashbam, first of all, says that the chavis that Mar Baravashi was makbid about was a relatively small chavis. However, a gigantic barrel, they used to have these large wooden kegs of wine, then that would not be pogum, even according to Mar Baravashi. A second point that the Rashbam makes is that the language of the Gemara makpid seems to indicate that it's a din lechatchila. If, let's say, for example, you went ahead and you made a bracha on a kos pogum, you would be yotzei. And if you were in a situation where you don't have access to anything other than yayin pogum, you could use that even lechatchila for a koshel bracha. Now, in both of these points, the Rashbam has stimulated the dissenting view of other Rishonim. With regard to a chavis gedola shel eitz, the Meiri disagrees with the Rashbam, and he holds even on this there's kpeda, a very large barrel, and it becomes pogum. With regard to the issue of what happens to the evet if you made a bracha on a kos yayin pogum, here we have a discussion in Tosfos, Dibra Maschel Kopid, and we have a shita of Rabbeinu Yoel, she'ein levarach yayin pogum, afilu ein lo yayin acher. He should not use yayin pogum. It's completely disqualified. It's not just a din of lechatchila. And the poskim write that we can rely on the Rashbam b'shas hadchak, and we can make a bracha on a kos pogum. Back to the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan. Now the Gemara quotes a brisa which is going to address the issue of Kiddush Balayla and Kiddush Bayom. We're going to read the brisa kipshuta, and we'll get the impression that Kiddush Bayom is more important than Kiddush Balayla, and then we'll see that the Gemara is going to revamp this brisa. Tana Rabbanan, Zochar es Yom HaShabbos l'kadcho, Zochreu al hayayin. Gemara thinks that what the brisa has in mind, and we'll see from the next part of the brisa, is that Kiddush by day is derived from the pasuk Zochar es Yom HaShabbos. Yom means day. However, Ein li ela bayom, is there an additional chiyuv of Zochar to recite Kiddush at night? Balayla minayin, Talmud lomer Zochar es Yom HaShabbos l'kadcho. In other words, l'kadcho is a separate ribui that includes even Kiddush Balayla, the Knisas HaShabbos. But the impression you get from this brisa is that the main Kiddush is by day. The Gemara cannot understand this brisa and raises two objections. Balayla minayin, are you telling me that certainly the pasuk Kipshuto, in other words, the Ikar Kosuv is referring to Kiddush Bayom, and the brisa is trying to derive another additional secondary Kiddush Balayla? Adarabba, Ikar Kiddusha Balaylahu. The Gemara thinks that logically, if you ask me which Kiddush is the primary one, at night or in the day, certainly the night Kiddush is primary. When a person sanctifies the Shabbos, he does so b'knisaso. Now Shabbos is entered, and now's the time to sanctify the Shabbos. You don't want to sanctify part of the Shabbos, wait till the morning and cut out the night. So therefore, the main Kiddush is certainly by night, and this brisa is very problematic. And furthermore, the Gemara asks, you were looking for a ribui to include Kiddush Balayla, and you quote the pasuk by Yom, Zocher es Yom HaShabbos. It's very odd that you bring a pasuk that seems to indicate the exact opposite of what you want to derive from that pasuk. Tana Mahadar Alayla v'Kanasim like Yamama. The Tana of this price is looking for a source and a basis for Kiddush Balayla and finds a pasuk that's referring to Yom. Hachi Kama. The Gemara says you have to change the text of the brisa. Zocher es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho. When the Torah says Yom HaShabbos, it means to sanctify the entire day, the 24-hour period, not to miss any part of that period of time for Kiddush. But what happened to the fallback position? Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he didn't have access to Yayin. He wasn't able to be Mekadesh at night. How do I know that the Kiddush could be meaningful even by day? That the word Yom here is now coming to include as a secondary possibility Kiddush by Yom. But Kiddush by Laila is certainly the Ikar Kiddush. By Yom, my Mevarech. The Gemara wants to know what happens if everything went Kiseder. He was Mekadesh by Laila, and he has to recite a second Kiddush by Yom. What is the Kiddush by Yom? Do we repeat the entire Nusach HaKiddush? Amar Yehuda Borei Pri Hagafen. We're not going to recite a brach of Kiddush at all. All we're going to recite is Borei Pri Hagafen, and we're going to drink the kos. And the reason for this is because of Kavod Shabbos. And we want to set up Su'uda, every single Su'uda on Shabbos, as a Su'uda Shabbos. And how do we differentiate and engender a Shem Su'uda Shabbos in the Su'uda to change and transform the nature of the Su'uda and upgrade its status? We need a Borei Pri Hagafen. The Borei Pri Hagafen is Kiddush in the sense of setting up a Su'uda Shabbos. And there are those who are makpid on a kosher yain even for Su'uda Shlishit. And it's based on this logic that you want to set up a Su'uda Shabbos. We're obligated 3 Su'udos Shabbos. Each Su'uda requires a Borei Pri Hagafen. And this is based on a principle of the Gemara Brachos Lamed Hey, Ein Omer Shira El Al Hayayin. That when we want to sing Shira, and the Su'uda Shabbos is a Shira, we need Yayin. The Yayin is Kovei the Su'uda as a Su'uda Shabbos, and that's L'chvod Shabbos. Rav Ashi Iklo L'Mechuza. Rav Ashi on one occasion found himself in the city of Mechuza. Omru Le, the Bnei Ha'ir said to him on Shabbos, Likadish Lon Mar. Please make Kiddush for us. It was the day of Shabbos. And Rav Ashi was not sure what kind of a Kiddush they wanted to hear. What was their local minhag? And they called it Kiddush Rabbah. They called it Kiddush HaGadol. And the Rishonim say that this is a euphemism to call it Kiddush Rabbah. It's the great Kiddush, when in fact it's a secondary Kiddush. It doesn't even have a nusach of Kiddush. And the Tosas Rid writes that this language, this terminology, this name that they gave the Kiddush by day is lekavod, derech kavod. L'fishakadnu who be Kiddush halayla, it's inferior to the Kiddush at night. But Beloshen Tadinar, as a euphemism, they call it Kiddush Rabbah, to give it a certain chashivas, to be kovei the Suda, as we said, is a Suda Shabbos. Avulei, they brought a kos shel yayin in front of Rav Ashi, and they're all eagerly waiting to see what he's going to recite. Savar my new Kiddusha Rabbah. He had never heard that terminology, Kiddusha Rabbah. And all he knew about Kiddush during the day was Bar Pri Hagafen, Ein Shira El Yayin. It's a Kiyum Shira, it's not really Kiddush. And now they're calling it Kiddusha Rabbah. He felt like the pressure was on over here. Are you for real, Rav Ashi? Are you really the great leader that that you'll certainly be able to tell us with your chachma, your scholarship, what is Kiddusha Rabbah? Omar, he said to himself, Michti, Kol HaBrochas Kulon, Bori Pri Hagafen Amri Bereishim. No matter what Kiddush we have, it's a Seder HaBrochas. Even if they have a whole Seder in their Kiddush, they certainly begin with Bori Pri Hagafen, because that's halacha. Seder HaBrochos and Shira always begins with Bori Pri Hagafen. So I can't go wrong if I start with Bori Pri Hagafen. So that I'm going to begin with. What did he do? He used his head. Omar, Bori Pri Hagafen, the Agid, and he was marich, and he wanted to see what would be the response to the Mesubim. All those who were around at the table, would they immediately drink from the wine, or would they be waiting for him to recite Kiddush? Chazi Elahu Saba, he noticed from the corner of his eye one elderly statesman in the group, the Chagachin, he was already bending over Vishasi to drink from the kos. And that's when he understood that all they had in mind when they called the Kiddusha Rabbah on Shabbos was Bori Pri Hagafen. In other words, by using his eyes, he was able to figure out and make that calculation what they were knowing, what was the anticipation for Kiddush. This Gemara, by the way, is a little bit problematic for Hasidim who recite Shahakal Niyah. They drink a mashke, they drink schnapps, and that's all they yotze for Kiddush. Because the Gemara seems to imply that this is Kiddush ala yain, a Bori Pri Hagafen. The Rav Ashi knew for sure that that would be the beginning of Kiddush, and it's based on that principle of Ein Shira El Yain. It doesn't say Ein Shira El J&B Scotch. That doesn't say. Amri b'nei Rabbi Chia, Mishalo Hivdim Motzoi Shabbos. Is there a period of time beyond Motzoi Shabbos for Havdol? Mavdil v'holich b'chol Shabbos kulo. And the Rashbam explains, what does it mean, Mavdil v'holich b'chol Shabbos kulo? Shabbos extends beyond Shabbos midway through the week. The first half of the week, that's Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, belongs to Shabbos. Once he gets to Tuesday night, which is halachically Wednesday, it's too late for Havdol. V'ad kama, Rabbi Zera, ad Yom Revi b'Shabbos, until Wednesday. So during those first 3 days of the week, it's considered a din of Shabbos, of the previous Shabbos, but from Wednesday on, now it is connected to the following Shabbos, and it's impossible to recite Havdol. It's too late. Ki hadi Yosef, Rabbi Zera Kamei de Rabbi Asi. The others had a tradition that was Rav Asi coming to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yosef V'Kamar, and Rav Asi said the following: Le'inyan Gittin Chada b'Shabsa Trei Utlosa. He says that as far as get is concerned, if a man gives a get to his wife with a condition that she will fulfill a certain action, we'll give an example in a minute, is then she can fulfill that condition even on Sunday, Monday, or even Tuesday, Basa Shabbos following the Shabbos. So he said to his wife, Harei zegitech, al manat shetitni li masayim zuz, achar Shabbos. Now the phrase achar Shabbos means after Shabbos, but connected to Shabbos. And how long can we extend into the week to come to be considered Achar Shabbos, that it's connected to Shabbos, such that she could fulfill her condition and give him the Masayim Zuz up until including Tuesday, but not beyond Tuesday. Arba v'chamisha umali yoma kami shabsa. If a man says to his wife, "Hareze gitech al menashe ditni li masayim zuz kodem haShabbos," before Shabbos, how early in the week? How, you're going backwards from Friday back to Thursday back to Wednesday. How early in the week is it still considered kami shabsa? It's an introduction, anticipating and connecting to the next Shabbos. The same law applies. Revi, Chamishi, Shishi. But if she gave him the Masayim Zuz on Yom Revi is already, no, I'm sorry. If Revi is fine, that's considered connected to the next Shabbos. But if she delivers it on Tuesday, on Yom Shlishi, that would not be a fulfillment of the condition. Rav Yaakov Bar Idi Avol Lo Al Ha'ur. If he missed Havdalah Motzi Shabbos, then even though he's allowed to recite the bracha of Hamavdil and Kodesh L'chol, the main bracha of Havdalah up until and including Tuesday, but not the bracha Borei Ma'orei Ha'esh, because we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu Motzi Shabbos because that's the time when man first experienced a creation of Eish. And there's a medrash that on Motzi Shabbos, Adam Arishon was able to create Eish. So that bracha of Borei Ma'orei is limited to Motzi Shabbos. And he can make Havdalah on days later, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but he's going to have to omit the bracha of Borei Ma'orei Ha'esh. That's what he says that Tchilas Briyoso, the beginning of the creation of Eish, for man at least, was on Motzi Shabbos. V'lachfichach ein mevarchen ala ela b'motzoi Shabbos bilvad. Only on Motzei Shabbos. Now, the Gemara is going to clarify the din of what's called hefsek b'kiddush bein netilas yadayim l'seuda.